All right, we're still keeping tabs with the situation with regards to the fuel scarcity. And we have a correspondent in River State, Uche Okoro, who has been monitoring situations there. We'll take you back to him now. Uche, quickly give us a sense of what the situation is like with regards to the fuel scarcity. In Lagos State, motorists have been groaning, especially with the fact that they have to queue for long hours. What's the situation like in Rivers?
Two things are currently playing out in the city of Port Harcourt. One, you can obviously see behind me, that petrol station is not dispensing fuel. Now, this is the Peter Odili axis of Peter Odili Road in the city of Port Harcourt. Along the stretch of this road from the start to the finish, there are about 5 petrol stations, and all 5 are not dispensing fuel. And so that's the situation right now. If I were to hazard a statistics off my head, I would say just about 2 out of every 10 petrol stations are currently dispensing fuel right here in the city. So that's the reason why you're not seeing queues in many of the petrol stations in the city of Port Harcourt. As at yesterday, there were very long queues. As at this morning, there were still very long queues. But along as the hours were rolling by, people began to realize there is really no point for us to, form these queues, because these petrol stations either don't have the product or are chosen for reasons best known to them not to dispense. So that's the situation. Majority of petrol stations in the city are not dispensing fuel, as you can see behind me. Now, the second thing that is playing out in the city is that the roads are all clear today. So I'm lucky for those who have the products in their vehicles. They're enjoying the very light traffic all across the city. Ordinarily, rush hour today was devoid of the usual traffic, because majority of the cars that would ordinarily have been on the road do not have petrol to be on the road. So that's the only advantage that this scarcity has brought to the city. Other than that, many people are still scrambling and waiting earnestly for many of these petrol stations to begin to dispense the product. So right now, as we have it in Port Harcourt, there is scarcity of petroleum product, particularly on the premium motor spirit.
Right. As you were speaking, there was a particular woman who was lucky to get the product, and it was sold to her in her jerry can. And that brings to mind what we see in Lagos State, where we see a lot of persons also buying in jerry cans. A majority of them happens to be black marketers. I wonder if that is also happening in Port Harcourt, where we see these people buying the product in jerry cans and selling at exorbitant prices.
Motorists have resorted to doing that as at yesterday, because there was no inkling that this was coming. There was no sign that this was coming. I know prior to this time, when there is fuel scarcity, when there ends up being fuel scarcity, about a day or 2 or even 3 before that date, people are already beginning to get the feeling that that's going to happen. People begin to fill up their tanks, begin to fill up their jerry cans and so on, ahead of the beginning of the strike by either NUPEG or Pengassin or whatever the case may be, or tanker drivers. But in this particular instance in Port Harcourt, there was no sign. I, for one, was taken by surprise on Monday morning when I came out on the road, and I realized that there were long queues all over the place, and majority of the filling stations were under lock and key. So there was no sign. So what I experienced yesterday, and what I'm also seeing today, is that many vehicles were caught unawares. Many vehicles ran out of fuel midway in their journeys. So you had many vehicles, even luxury vehicles, not just the commercial vehicles, parked by the wayside and filling up their tanks from jerry cans. So what people are doing is they don't have sufficient fuel to take their vehicles from where they are parked to these petrol stations. Others do not have sufficient fuel to move their vehicles along the slow-moving long queues. So many people resorted to parking their vehicles wherever they ran out of fuel, and going with commercial vehicles or walking the distance with jerry cans to go get fuel, and then convey these jerry cans back to where their vehicles are parked. So that's actually what's going on in Port Harcourt. I haven't really observed black marketers getting the products ahead of or in preference to ordinary motorists, because the products are just not there. They are just not there. So everyone is stuck, both those who are in quote black marketers, the genuine motorists and so on. Everyone is stuck. The petrol stations are not dispensing. As at last night 9 p.m. there was a very long queue at this particular petrol station, but right now people have seem to have lost hope that these products will be made available anytime soon. So they have either driven their vehicles back home, or maybe they've gone in search of other petrol stations that are dispensing. So yes, many residents who have been unable to get the products have resorted to getting getting these products into jerry cans and then conveying these jerry cans to where their vehicles are parked, to refill.
All right. Although the NNPC has said that its outlets and depots should begin 24-hour distribution or dispensing of the product. So perhaps we would see some products, a lot of people getting access to the products at the end of the day. So that should be a light at the end of the tunnel. Thank you, Uche Okoro, for bringing us up to speed with the situation in Port Harcourt.